Hi, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It is January 20th. Jerry says, you're going to have a tough week this week with that trial starting, so he thought he would just come and say hi to everybody. Okay, say hi. Say bye. Go back to sleep. Go on. Okay, so quite the week it's going to be. Quite the week. So, we've got this trial starting. Oh, first of all, it's Martin Luther Day King today. Sad that such a great man was taken out in his prime, but he was. So this is a day where Americans honor that special soul. And so I just wanted to make sure I acknowledged it. Okay, so I want to see what the week ahead's going to be. Just as simple as that. I mean, we can, some things you can almost guarantee, but let's just zero in and see what the week of starting on Monday, January 20th, looks like in Washington. Let's give this a couple more quick shuffles. While I'm doing that, thank you so much for the support for Soulprint. I so much appreciate it. Your comments are brilliant. And I love the subscriptions. They continue to grow, and that makes me very happy, of course. So I thank each and every one of you for the views and the subscriptions and, of course, the thumbs up and the amazing comments. All right, come on down because I have a question. Okay, so do tell about Washington, D.C., week starting Monday, January 20th. All right, here we go. Senate trial this week, Senate trial this week, Senate trial this week. All right, see what we're going to find out. Okay, well, for sure, it's all about the White House. All about what's going on there. Okay, so both sides are going to be working hard. Both sides are going to be able, are going to try very hard to create a narrative that, like, honestly, in some ways fires up their bases, right? I mean, the Democrats are going to be trying to really hit home the fact that this is a completely lawless president and, he is smashing the government and he needs to be stopped. He's out of control. You have the other side who are looking at this and saying, yeah, he's not that bad. You guys just don't like Trump. And, so he abused his power and he was trying to bribe another country, but come on, it's not that big a deal. I mean, honestly, I don't know what other defense they're going to have, except what he did was probably not really great, but it doesn't rise to the level of impeachment. Okay. I don't see how they're going to have any other narrative, but whatever, I guess it won't take long. We will soon find out. So the first few days of this trial are going to be, kind of interesting. There's going to be a lot of back and forth, because the two sides to some degree or some way have to kind of come together and figure out a way to go forward so that this doesn't look like a complete sham and a complete, farce. There's a lot of concern and there's a lot of questions going on behind the Republican facade, if you will, because they're still dealing with somebody who is really, really wanting to put on a big splashy, TV show. And he's got his TV lawyers in place, and he has lawyers who I don't know, man, who the Republicans proudly call their own. I just don't know another way to say that. So you've got that going on. And then, of course, you have, the really hard work that went into the Democrats' impeachment under Nancy Pelosi. There was a great deal that came out, a great deal that rose to the surface. Information that we didn't know before. Has spent a significant amount of time, kind of bubbling up. Like if you're really, and I've lost track, to be perfectly honest, I have lost track. But I'm thinking that the whole phone call that, that whole implosion when we first heard from the whistleblower, if I'm not mistaken, it was somewhere around the middle of September. And we are now sitting at the middle of January. That is crazy fast. That is given how governments work, that is a really fast turnaround from, okay, we have a problem, we have a whistleblower complaint, apparently there are these irregularities too, all right, buddy, you're impeached, too, let's take 3 or 4 weeks off over Christmas and just see how much more stuff bubbles to the surface, oh my, look at all of the information coming forward, to, okay, now we're going to get ready to start the trial. So even though I understand and I appreciate that it feels as if this is not moving along, it's not moving along fast enough, it is. And so be patient. I mean, the government is a very, very large organization, and it turns slowly, it moves slowly. Both parties, frankly, are going to have a couple of tricks up their sleeves. I wouldn't be surprised if they announce just another crazy lawyer to the defense team. And nor would I be surprised if there isn't more information being released by the House, if not pertaining to Lev Parnas. It could be somebody else or something else, but continue to anticipate sort of a perpetual flow of information coming out. Okay. I do not know what is going to happen sort of between now and March, because it really, really does feel as if when it comes to Trump, he has gotten to a place where he really is being very erratic, being uncontrollable. He is incredibly unhappy and miserable and letting everybody know it, to the point where his lawyers really are having a hard time kind of reining him in and pulling him back. Because when Trump doesn't know what else to do, he pushes back really, really hard. And in his head, he thinks that the bigger the pushback and the more dramatic it is, the better it is. And it's just got to work, because that's how he sees it in his head. So he really is, frankly, presenting quite the little problem behind the scenes, because it finally dawned on him that I seem to be in some trouble here. He has sent out several tweets, as I understand it. I like my sanity, and so I do not follow him on Twitter. But as I understand it, it's sort of like, I can't believe it went this far. I absolutely cannot believe I have been impeached. How did this possibly happen? How did this get out of control? Well, because you don't listen to anybody, and you're not very smart, and you're irrational, and you're greedy, and you're crooked. And so when you go through life thinking that you know better than anybody about every single thing, at some point that elastic band is going to snap back. And this is exactly what's happened. And it really is. I mean, he's sort of prepared for the fact that this could look kind of bad. He has not one clue how bad it's actually going to look. And this is the thing, even if he is acquitted by, here we go, there he is. So even if he is acquitted by the Senate, because of course it's Republican dominated, and it's, we're hoping and praying and sending beautiful energy to all of those senators that they will find their conscience and that they will do what is right and they will make a decision that is of the light. But as more and more stuff comes out, he's going to start to realize that he is really not in a good position. He is being backed into corners everywhere he turns. It's not only the Senate trial, but you're going to see court decisions being made that are not in his favor. You're going to get some more leaks coming out that obviously are not in his favor. And he's really only now just starting to grapple with the fact that he may actually lose this presidency. Up until now, that was not something he put any of his energy to, and I'm reminded of when he won the election, and all of a sudden, his people were running around in this crazy, crazy flurry, trying to figure out how to do this and how to make this transition and figure out what people needed to be in place. And I remember them saying that literally Trump would not allow any work to be done on the transition because, honestly, in the back of his head, he actually didn't think he was going to win, so why spend the money, okay? But the second part of it was for that part of him that thought he was going to win, well, then he didn't want to jinx it by kind of planning ahead. So, yeah. So just now is he actually starting to recognize, because he doesn't like to deal with things until they're right smack up in his face. So until the impeachment was right smack up in his face and it's a done deal, well, that's when he starts to thinking he should react, and and he starts to realize that, oh, wait a minute, maybe he's in a little bit of trouble. And there are some things that even his attorney general cannot save him from. So, again, expect some more erratic communications from Trump. I actually get the feeling that as some of those Republicans start making noise about the information, and again, I'm not talking about the Lindsey Grahams. I'm talking about the ones who are quieter, the ones who are not making a fuss, but slowly but surely they're going to be taking in the information. As that starts to unfold and evolve, you're going to see, again, him just rushing in and trying to change the narrative. He's going to be incredibly confused. He's not going to be making a lot of sense. He is going to start to believe that the Republican senators are kind of in a plot to get rid of him, okay? He's going to start to get a little bit paranoid sounding. And so, again, there is this sense of when he needs them the most to try to secure his presidency, he's actually going to start pulling away, because just the fact that he is in this degree of trouble and it's only starting to dawn on him that he can't really escape all that clean. It's not like he can settle this in court, right? It's not like he can take this to the highest court in the land and say, tell me I'm not impeached. I don't want to be. Okay, he's stuck with what he's stuck with, and it's starting to penetrate. And so there's going to be some real erratic behavior. There's going to be, I think they're going to try really, really hard to keep him under control, to try to control that narrative. But it's only going to last for a few days. And then, like everything else, it is just going to explode out of him. So, look forward to that. A lot of fighting going on behind the scenes. Nobody is really happy. He is not happy with what they're offering him. They are not happy, frankly, that they have to put so much on the line and risk so much of their own personal political careers just to try to save this guy when he's not even quite comprehending what he did wrong. And I'm not joking. He actually really doesn't know what he did wrong, because in his world, this is how deals are done. It's just the way it is. That's what business is. And he really doesn't understand that what he is doing is not considered normal practice within a government. Okay? He just doesn't seem to be able to grasp the concept, because at its root, he feels like government should be run like a big business. Of course, the irony of all that, of course, is that he actually never operated a big business. He operated a mom and dad, kind of real estate company, okay, or property managed company. But he perceives that he ran a big corporation. So there's like a lot going on behind the scenes, and tensions are really, really ratcheting up. And, again, more insight, more information coming out, but ultimately there is going to be an ending. I just am not getting real clarity on whether that ending is going to come as a result of the trial, or if something's going to happen between sort of now and the end of the trial that just sort of brings everything to a thundering halt as people are going to try to grasp with these new revelations. And that may cause him to leave, and maybe they'll vote to keep him in office, and then they're going to start investigating this other thing, and he may end up having to leave. Then, even without a second impeachment, he may be pushed out. So I'm not sure. But as for the first week, it's going to be a lot of process. There's going to be a lot of, I call for a vote on that, I call for a vote on that, I don't like that, I object, I want to vote. So they're going to be voting on everything there is to possibly vote on, as the two sides finally get serious and actually try to figure out how to make this cohesively fit and work. As every day goes by, McConnell is getting more clarity on the fact that actually trying to cram this thing through is going to be a really bad thing, And even his own people, the people of Kentucky, are like, yeah, you know what, this isn't cool, buddy. Like, at least this has to be a fair trial, for God's sakes. We're removing somebody from office and attaching a real stigma to them for the rest of their life. You gotta kind of look at it as it at least being fair, as opposed to some sort of a rush to judgment so that there was no more faulty information coming out, or damaging information coming out. Excuse me. So, it's going to be kind of like stop and start. You could kind of look at Tuesday as, ready, set, go, get your popcorn out. But I actually don't think that it's going to get really kind of interesting until right towards the end of the week, or maybe even early the beginning of the following week. Because there really is a lot that needs to be negotiated and sort of hammered out. And so that's going to be the process, certainly as it gets started tomorrow and going forward for a few days. It's going to appear as if the Republicans are really rallying around him. And don't get unhinged by that. Don't get scared. Don't get freaked out, because they really do have to do that to some degree, right? They have to appear to be a united front. You're going to have, I really think there's going to be witnesses and documents. I think they're going to try to really, really, really limit them. But they have to, at this point, present as solid of a united front as they can. I'm talking about the Republicans, because there is an awareness that as this thing continues on, they may have to weaken their ranks a little bit. They may have to start pulling back, and you know what? Maybe it's actually more than 3 or 4 senators. Maybe it's getting really close to that 67, and and people are getting really nervous. And so I'm not exactly sure what all's going to happen, but I can tell you that this coming week there's going to be a lot of squabbling, a lot of kind of pushing back and forth and fighting, a lot of anxiety, just anxiety. And most of it is behind the scenes, right? Like it's really not in our faces too much. I think what we're going to be seeing is this sort of solid front, and what's going on behind the scenes is anything but calm or quiet. They are so scared. They are so scared of some light being shed on this situation. And a lot of them are getting ready to realize that they're going to be disappointed. They're going to have to walk away. There's a lot of balancing and juggling going on right now. Mitch McConnell is trying to keep the upper hand while making it look like he's at least going to do something, give in somewhere. Because if he makes this really, really hard stance, I actually don't think it's going to go well. And if he continues with that kind of nonsense, I think a lot of Republican senators are going to be getting a lot of rather nasty messages from their constituents saying, this is not why you are in office. You do this fair, or we're going to know we can't trust you, and therefore basically you're not going to ever get our vote again. So there's sort of some chickens coming home to roost kind of feeling about this. But make no mistake, I mean, as much as we don't like Moscow Mitch, no one can actually deny that, he's very good at kind of those political strategic games. Okay, the fact is he has no heart and he's kind of ruthless about it, but he is good at them, even if people don't exactly like the result of the games he plays. Yeah, there's going to be disappointment. There's ultimately going to be, a feeling, a sense that eventually this is going to turn out okay. Eventually, there is going to be a sense of peace about this whole time frame with Donald Trump sitting in that office. So expect a couple breakout moments. I see Adam Schiff standing in front of a bank of microphones, and he's looking in control and composed, and as if he's sort of pleased with how things are going. But there is going to be, for those of you who continue to watch TV and the news on a regular basis, there is going to be a lot of, oh, well, what if they do this and they do this, and how's that going to work? And as much as possible, let's try all to stay focused on the fact that the man was impeached for inviting a foreign government to interfere in the next election. After he had already done it once in his first election, he was now asking another country to do it in his second election because he wanted to destroy the most likely Democratic opponent, or the one he feared the most. That's what you need to remember. That's the focus. And that's perhaps what senators need to be told. What he did was wrong. In fact, even, the government oversight office, I know that's not the right, the government accountability office has said that in fact a crime was committed with the withholding of that funds. So, let's try to stay focused. There, as I said, here you got the Fool, you had the King of Pentacles earlier. They're going to really try to keep him reined in and under control, but it is a heavy lift for them because you know what? He just wants emotions. He wants high emotions. He wants to change everybody's mind. And more than anything, he wants to try to get back to that place and time where he thought he was adored. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for like complete exoneration, and he doesn't understand because, again, he doesn't just seem to understand that there is a really, really big difference between acquitted and exonerated. But like everything else, he smushes them together as one word so it reflects in the best possible way. The final message is this. This is going to move forward. This whole process has been about alerting the American people to the parts of the government system that were broken or not working as well or efficiently as they should have been. It was time for the government people to sort of rise up as a whole and say, okay, that really is enough with the corruption. Let's just start dialing this back. It's gotten ridiculously out of hand, and we, the people, aren't impressed. The hope of the United States continues to sort of burn bright and strong, but, you know, again, it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take some healing, but it will come together as groups of like-minded people come together and try to move not only the energy and the vibration of the country, but the country in and of itself forward. And so that there are goals that are determined to be in the best interest of the people, and, you know, they start getting moved forward. All right. So it's going to be quite the interesting week. Nothing's happening today, right? Because it's a, I'm presuming it's a stat holiday, but either way, it's a holiday with the whole, for Martin Luther King. And so get some rest, get some rest, because, yeah, there's a lot that's going to be going on in the next week. A lot of it's going to be a little bit draining, a little bit exhausting, a little bit mind-boggling. But together we are stronger, and so together we will muddle our way through this as we continue to look at it and try to make sense of it. Do not be surprised if this whole situation, the trial goes on actually a little bit longer, I think, than anybody is anticipating at this point. He's not going to get away with it being really, really fast and over. And like I said, whatever is in the background, there is something on the back burner that is just about ready to get to a boil. And when that happens, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how the Republicans respond to whatever these new bombshells are going to be. All right. So once again, thank you ever so much for the support of this channel. I'm incredibly grateful. And together we'll get through this one way or another. Okay. So until next time, take care. Be well. We'll see you soon. Bye.